Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are taking a shortcut right into the heart of one of the biggest fantasy debuts of the year.
Kurogami Daichi's Valdoria.
Exactly. And instead of just giving you the plot summary, we're going straight to why this book landed a 4.5 out of 5 stars?
A very strong 4.5, yeah.
Yeah.
And in a field that is just packed with epic fantasy. That number really says something.
It really does. So we're going to distill that critical appraisal, really get into what makes this book work so well, especially for readers who feel like they've seen it all before.
And that 4.5 rating is a good signal. It
Yeah.
tells you this is more than just, comfort food for fantasy fans.
Right.
The critique frames Valdoria as this exhilarating journey, sure, but also a really structurally smart one.
How so?
It's set in a world that's genuinely on the edge. And the threat isn't just some big bad guy over the horizon, it's personal.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Our mission for this deep dive is to get into the source material and figure out what makes the premise so gripping.
Right, and how Daichi pulls off the execution.
And whether those comparisons to big names like Sanderson and Rothfuss actually hold up.
A great place to start is the foundation, the setting, and the central conflict.
Let's do it. So the story opens in Windholm.
A village that Daichi specifically crafts to feel almost unbelievably peaceful. Cozy, serene.
The appraisal really highlighted that, didn't it? The deliberate pacing.
It did. The author spends real time, real pages, just building the warmth of the community, the feel of daily life.
Which is not just filler.
Not at all. It's a strategic move. He's building up this emotional capital with the reader so when things go bad,
It hurts. The stakes are instantly higher.
the stakes are incredibly high. If you don't care about the before, the after means nothing.
And that after comes crashing down pretty hard. The dark forces from Heartwood Forest.
Yes, and that leads to the release of the main antagonist, the Dreadborn.
Right, and this is where it gets really interesting for me. The Dreadborn isn't just a monster.
No, not at all. And this is a point that critique makes over and over. This is not your standard Dark Lord. The Dreadborn is an entity that literally embodies and feeds on humanity's deepest fears.
Which makes the whole conflict psychological.
It's internal before it's ever physical.
Yeah.
And the reviewer made a great point that the Dreadborn almost reflects our own modern anxieties.
Did the appraisal get specific about what kinds of fears it preys on?
It did. It's not just, fear of death or spiders.
Right.
It's the fear of systemic decay, of your entire way of life just eroding.
Losing your shared history.
Exactly. The loss of shared memory. When the shadows come from the forest, they aren't just breaking down doors. They're sowing distrust, making people question their own neighbors, their own traditions.
So the fight isn't just against evil, it's against nihilism.
That's a perfect way to put it. It grounds the entire story and makes it feel incredibly relevant.
I see. So the world building becomes less about the map and more about the moral landscape.
Precisely. You feel the stakes because losing Windholm feels like losing hope itself.
Which means the quest for our hero Eirik isn't just about finding a magic sword.
It's a struggle to restore trust, to overcome that shadow of doubt that's crept into everyone's hearts, including his own.
So that seems like a good transition to Eirik and his companions.
The core group, yeah.
We've got Eirik, the young warrior. He's joined by Kaela, the agile archer, and Bjorn, the fierce berserker.
And on paper, I know what you're thinking.
It sounds like a D&D campaign.
It sounds super familiar. And the critique admits that Daichi uses those archetypes as a starting point. Intentionally.
But he subverts them.
He completely subverts them. They quickly become these deeply fleshed out individuals who are carrying a lot of personal baggage.
How does he do that, though? How does he make them feel fresh while still being, a warrior, an archer, and a berserker?
By tying their internal conflicts directly to the nature of the Dreadborn, it all comes back to fear.
Okay, so take Eirik, the young warrior.
His transformation is anything but smooth. He's not just leveling up his sword skills. The review points out how he has these moments of incredible competence on the battlefield, followed by just crippling self-doubt.
The chosen one who's not sure he's the right guy.
Exactly. He's constantly battling the fear of inadequacy, the guilt of leading his friends into danger. He fails. A lot.
That is way more interesting. What about Kaela, the archer?
So she's not just the ranged support. Her fear is more about responsibility.
Responsibility.
Yeah, she comes from a political background she tried to escape. Her skill with a bow, keeping enemies at a distance, it mirrors her desire to keep emotional connection at a distance too. She's afraid of loss.
I like that. The weapon reflects the character.
It's very well done. Her chapters are full of this internal debate. to protect herself or protect the community she ran away from.
And Bjorn the berserker, I feel like that's an easy one to get wrong. Just make him the angry guy.
And he's not. His fear is of himself, of losing control. His rage is a weapon, yes, but it terrifies him. The review mentions this whole subplot where he's looking for ways to restrain it because he's afraid that in fighting the darkness outside,
he'll unleash the one inside.
Exactly. So their friendship, their camaraderie, it's not just witty banter, it's this messy, constant negotiation of each other's deepest fears.
Which perfectly synthesizes the main themes. Courage isn't being fearless.
It's acting despite the fear. And that unity, that community, is what allows them to do it. Their individual weaknesses are balanced out by the group.
So we've talked a lot about what makes it great. The rating was 4.5, not a perfect 5.
Well,
what did the appraisal say holds it back? What were the limitations?
that's a great question for a deep dive. The critique mentioned two minor issues.
Okay.
First, while the main trio is fantastic, some of the secondary characters,
Yeah.
especially the politicians they meet later on,
Can fall into old tropes.
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
The shifty advisor or the wise old mentor, they just didn't feel quite as fresh as our main three.
That's a common trap in epic fantasy.
It is. The second point was about the pacing in the middle section. The world building is so rich, but there's a point where a lot of new history and terminology gets introduced all at once.
The info dump section.
A bit of one, yeah.
Mm.
The critic said it could feel a little dense if you weren't taking notes, and it slowed things down just before the big finale.
That's good context. So, okay, even with those minor issues, the emotional core is clearly the struggle for courage and unity. But to pull that off in a big book, the writing itself has to be solid.
It has to be technically excellent, and it is.
How did the review describe Daichi's prose?
It praised his ability to strike this really crucial balance between lyrical prose and brisk pacing.
So it's pretty, but it moves.
Exactly. The descriptions make you feel like you're in Windholm, but they're tight. They don't, as the review said, bog down the narratives.
And what's the specific technique that allows that? How does he keep it moving?
The review highlighted his use of parallel subplots and a very deliberate chapter structure. He doesn't just fade from one scene to another.
He uses hard cuts.
Very strategic hard cuts. You'll jump from Eirik in a tense political negotiation straight to one of Kaela's chapters about guerrilla fighting in the woods.
So no one storyline gets stale. It keeps the energy up.
It keeps the energy way up. And it makes the book feel faster than its page count would suggest.
The review also called the prose accessible, which is interesting given the comparison to Rothfuss, who can be very ornate.
The accessibility comes from clarity. Daichi uses evocative language, but he's not trying to be overly complex.
He's not writing for the dictionary.
No. He blends the action, the dialogue, and the introspection so smoothly that you're just carried along. You feel what the characters feel, which is the whole point.
Which brings us right to the audience. We mentioned Sanderson, Rothfuss. Who is this book really for?
I think it's for anyone who loves character-driven stories. If you read for that deep dive into a character's mind, like you get with Rothfuss, but you also love a well-structured plot with high stakes, like in a Sanderson novel, this book sits in that perfect sweet spot right between them.
What about for someone new to the genre? Is it too much?
No, and the critique made that clear. It's actually very approachable for YA readers or just newcomers to fantasy in general.
Because it uses familiar tropes.
It uses them as a starting point, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The quest, the hero, the Dark Lord, but it breathes new life into them. And because the themes are so universal, overcoming doubt, community, it's easy to connect with.
So it's both an escape and a mirror.
A very effective mirror. You escape into this incredible world, but it's constantly asking you, what's your fear?
Yeah.
How do you face it?
So the final verdict stands, a 4.5 out of 5. A captivating story with rich world-building, deep characters, and themes that really hit home.
Yeah, what it all means is that this book is so much more than its plot. Daichi's crafted a story that wants you to think about its core ideas, about facing fear, about the strength you find in others.
It's a journey that really champions the power of connection.
Absolutely, in the face of some really terrifying psychological dread.
You know, that concept of the Dreadborn really is what sticks with me. If it truly embodies our collective fears, and we know Eirik, Kaela, and Bjorn are fighting these very specific personal fears, what do you think the true sign of its defeat would be in their society? It can't just be winning the war. Would it be, I don't know, a new political unity or something smaller, like just bringing back a single forgotten tradition in Windholm, something for you to mull over?